The Backrooms has hundreds of entities: the Smiler, the Hound, the Skin Stealer, the Party Goer. You've seen them in videos, games, TikToks. But here's what almost nobody tells you. Most of those creatures are not in the actual A24 movie. They're not even in Kane Parsons' web series. They're fan-made. And the real Kane Pixels entities? They're far more disturbing than anything the fandom invented. Today, we're separating what's actually canon from what the internet invented and explaining every single real entity in the process. Before we get into the entities, you need to understand that the Backrooms has two completely separate universes running at the same time. Universe 1, the fan-made Backrooms wiki. This is community lore. Thousands of contributors, building levels, entities, rules. The Smiler lives here, the Hound lives here, the Skin Stealer, the Party Goer, the Facelings, all fan-made. Brilliant creative work, but not what you saw in the A24 film. Universe 2, Kane Pixels canon. This is the world created by Kane Parsons through his YouTube web series and the 2026 A24 feature film. One continuous story, one director's vision. And in this universe, there are only 3 entities, but each one is more unsettling than anything the community wiki ever invented. Let's go through all of them. The first entity Kane Parsons ever put on screen. The original, and if you've only seen clips, you have no idea how terrifying the full picture is. The official name from Kane's own Ko-Fi gallery is the Bacteria. Though Kane himself in an interview called it the Lifeform Fellow, which somehow makes it worse. This thing has a nickname. Here's what it actually is. The lifeform is a colonial organism, a mutated strain of hay bacillus, a real bacteria that has somehow evolved inside the Backrooms into a conscious predator. It appears to grow from the black mold-like substance you see spreading across the walls of the complex. The current leading theory is that it forms nests from its own body material around dead organisms inside the Backrooms, consuming the corpse, absorbing its nutrients, and growing larger. Every body left in the Backrooms potentially becomes more of it. Physically, it stands roughly 11 feet tall. Black, wire-like anatomy. A tangle of cables bent into a vaguely humanoid shape. Arms that drag along the floor. Legs with no feet. It moves with a stiff, mechanical quality. Some researchers theorize it uses objects found in the Backrooms, like furniture or camera tripods, to support its form internally. And it's fast. Faster than it looks. But the detail that makes the lifeform genuinely nightmare tier is what it does with sound.
Help! Help! Help me! Help!
It mimics human voices. Specifically, it mimics the voices of its previous victims, using what researchers believe are the repurposed larynxes of the humans it's killed. It uses these stolen voices to cry for help, drawing new wanderers toward it. If you're lost in the Backrooms and you hear someone calling for help, that is not a person. That is the thing that already killed whoever made that sound. Its intelligence is unclear, and that makes it even scarier. It stalks, it hides around corners, peeks out, then retreats. It gives victims false security before striking. It waited behind Kane Pixels for what appeared to be minutes before making its move. The question the wiki keeps debating, can it think? Or is it just a bacterium that evolved sophisticated hunting instincts? The message Kane found on the Backrooms wall before the lifeform attacked read, "Don't move, stay still." Nobody knows if the lifeform placed it as a trap or if a previous victim left it as genuine advice. Nobody survived long enough to test it. What to know if you encounter one? Stay completely silent. It hunts primarily by sound. Do not scream. Do not run in a straight line. The corridors loop. The moment you hear something that sounds like a human calling for help, you go the other way. The still lifes are what the 2026 movie introduced to Kane Pixels canon, and they are a completely different kind of horror from the lifeform. Where the lifeform is primal and alien, the still lifes are personal. Here's what they are. The Backrooms doesn't just copy rooms. At some point it started trying to copy people who entered it. But it doesn't understand human biology. It can see the surface, skin, hair, clothing, the shape of a face, but it has absolutely no concept of what's underneath. No understanding of organs, memory, personality, or what makes someone human. The result, as Clark describes it in the film, describing a dog to someone who has never seen a dog and asking them to draw it. A still life is that drawing, human enough to recognize, wrong enough to make your skin crawl. And critically, whatever personality the original person had bleeds into the copy. The Backrooms captures something of who you were when it made the imprint, which means every still life is uniquely terrifying to whoever it copied. Let's go through each named still life in canon. The speaker room still life, the first still life introduced in the web series, in found footage number 3. This is Ravi's encounter. The creature is spotted in a dark room full of old speakers, wailing in sounds that are almost, but not quite human. It moves slowly, crossing its legs with each step, but it is relentless. It knocked on a door before breaking it down. It turned off its own room's lights. There's a terrible intelligence here that feels like something trying to remember how to be a person, and failing. The bearded still life appears in the film one of the passive corridor wanderers, not immediately aggressive. It moves through the back rooms like it has somewhere to be, which somehow makes it worse. The Archibald Leland Sutter still life named after a specific person who fell into the back rooms. This entity represents one of the deeper horror concepts of the film, the idea that people who entered the back rooms decades ago are still in there, in some form, long after their bodies are gone. The red-headed still life appears briefly but memorably in the film, one of the more visually distorted of the copies, another reminder that the backrooms gets the outside roughly right and the inside completely wrong. Captain Clark's still life, the main monster of the film, and the most important entity in Kane Pixels canon. Clark wore a pirate costume, Captain Clark, for his failing furniture store commercials. A desperate mascot for a desperate business. The backrooms copied it, and what it produced is Pirate Clark. 9 feet of grotesque mutated fury, unnaturally long arms. A real peg leg it navigates with ease. A face that is almost Clark's, stretched and distorted in ways that make it impossible to look at directly. But here is the detail that makes Captain Clark philosophically terrifying. The backrooms didn't copy the Clark who smiled in commercials. It copied the Clark underneath. All the rage, the bitterness, the abuse he directed at his ex-wife, the resentment he never dealt with. Still, life's mirror the inner state of the person they copy. Clark was a man of barely contained, toxic anger, and the backrooms built him a body. And at the end of the film, Pirate Clark doesn't go for Mary first. He goes for Clark himself. He kills the original. The monster that is literally constructed from your own unprocessed anger comes back and destroys you. That is not an accident. That is the movie's entire thesis delivered in one image. Mary's only weapon against Pirate Clark is a rock from a childhood memory. Something small, something from her past that she had actually faced and processed. Not strength, not a weapon, a memory. Still Life Mary Klein, the sequel setup. The final shot of the film, after Mary escapes through the threshold, the camera drops down through multiple layers of the backrooms, deeper and deeper, and at the bottom, in the sublevels of the complex, is a still life version of Mary, distorted, wrong, staring upward. The backrooms already made a copy of her before she got out. She escaped, but something stayed behind. Kane Parsons has confirmed this is intentional setup for future films. He said this movie is the first step toward the true heart of the idea. Still Life Mary is not a coda. She is the next villain. The green glow is the most mysterious entity in Kane Pixels canon, and most videos completely ignore it. It's classified as an entity, but it doesn't have a body. It doesn't chase you, and that somehow makes it the most unsettling thing in the entire lore. The green glow appears throughout the web series, in Overflow, Pitfalls, Found Footage 1 and 2, always as unexplained crackling green light emanating from holes in floors, walls, and ceilings. No source, no explanation. In Found Footage 2, the walls of a room begin to crack apart and green light floods in from everywhere in the final moments before the signal cuts. Current theories, it may be an energy that expands the backrooms, literally growing the complex in real time. Some researchers believe it's related to the same electromagnetic phenomenon async used to build the threshold, the low-proximity magnetic distortion system. If that's true, the green glow might be the backrooms building new rooms, new areas, new levels, actively. The place is growing. And possibly the green glow is how. Kane himself, in a gaming video, saw a green-tinted fluorescent light and said, "Oh no," before realizing it was just a light. That reaction tells you everything about how dangerous the community understands this phenomenon to be. Nobody has survived a full encounter with the green glow long enough to report back. The footage always cuts. So here's the honest ranking of every entity in Kane Pixels canon by how dead you are. The life form. It stalked Kane Pixels for what felt like miles before striking. It uses your friends' voices to lure you. It has never failed to kill. Captain Clark Still Life. 9 feet of your own psychology with arms that reach the floor. The only thing that slowed it was a memory. Still Life Mary Klein. We don't know what she becomes in the sequel. That uncertainty alone puts her here. The green glow. You can't fight it. You can't reason with it. You can only run before the walls close. The other named Still Life's speaker room, bearded, red-headed Archibald Sutter, disturbing to witness. Some passive, some aggressive. Behavior unpredictable. The Kane Pixels Backrooms has fewer entities than the fan wiki, but every single one of them is built around the same terrifying idea. The Backrooms is not just a place that traps you, it studies you, it copies you, and eventually it builds something from what it finds. The fan-made Backrooms wiki built hundreds of monsters, and some of them are incredible. But Kane Parsons built 3, and in 3 entities, he constructed a mythology about trauma, identity, and what happens when the universe holds up a mirror and you don't like what's in it. Still, Life Mary is already down there, and the sequel is confirmed. Drop a comment. What do you think she becomes? Because my theory on that is coming very soon. Subscribe so you don't miss it.